Station Houston, are you ready for the event?
Houston Station, I am ready for the event.
Houston ACR, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is Houston ACR. How do you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear.
Please stand by for opening remarks.
Hello, my name is Dr. Robert Sandel, President of Virginia Western Community College, located in the Roanoke Valley in southwestern Virginia. Roanoke is known as the Star City of the South, so our connection with the International Space Station today seems almost meant to be. On behalf of the faculty, staff, and students of our college, we thank you, the entire NASA team, for providing us with this remarkable opportunity to connect and be curious today. And with that, let's start with our first question.
Hi, my name is Jamana, and my question is, what is your favorite thing to do in space that feels different on Earth?
My favorite thing to do that I can never do on the ground is triple backflips. Here we go. That's that.
Hi, my name is Ben, and my question is, how do you think space travel will change over the next 25 years?
Ben, my hope is that in the next 25 years, we will have established a permanent human presence on the moon and have learned how to actually use the resources of the moon to be less dependent on getting all of our logistics for space travel from the Earth.
Hello, my name is Sean, and my question is, what kind of space station food experiments do you find to be the most delicious?
Every single one that involves fresh food has been delicious. My favorite was the hatch chilies we grew up here recently, and some of them got returned to the Earth frozen as samples, but some they let us taste, and they were wonderful. They were quite spicy, though, too.
Hi, my name is Skylar. My question is, are there any wet lab experiments happening in space, and what are the challenges of operating a wet lab in space?
Yeah, in fact, while I'm in this module, I remember very well in the first half of this flight doing a lot of experiments. The name of the science experiment was celestial immunity. It was learning how being in space affects our immune systems. That's very important for us to understand. But one of the challenges is we had samples, fluid, in Petri dishes, and they were contained by just the lid of a Petri dish, which on the ground would keep fluid in pretty well, but in space, the viscosity will keep the fluid in the bottom of the Petri dish, but we had to be extremely careful to prevent that fluid from escaping. So as we had to move these samples into a chamber that simulated being as part of the human body with the appropriate temperature, it was really challenging trying to move those samples and maintain the science.
Hi, my name is Faisal, and my question to you guys is, how do you keep track of your sleep schedule without a normal sunrise or sunset?
We actually just had to pick a time. So we use Greenwich Mean Time as the time for the space station. That puts us about 6 hours ahead right now of where we are, where I live in Houston. And one of the things we do is when we finish the workday, we change the lighting. So we have kind of work lights on right now, but to simulate the end of the day and to get our bodies to adjust, kind of like seeing a sunset, we can put on a mode on these lights called pre-sleep. So it gives us kind of an more orange-colored light. That helps us out a lot.
Hi, my name is Will. My question is, how do you get and recycle oxygen in the space station?
Well, we actually use electrolysis to break water into its component parts, one of which would be oxygen. Of course, we can also get oxygen from tanks provided by spacecraft deliveries, so we have that as well.
Hi, my name is Charles. My question is, if there's a problem with a computer on board, how does tech support work on the space station?
Fortunately for us, we can just say, Houston, we have a problem. Tell the ground team what the situation is, and they're very, very helpful. We have a wonderful team of experts on the ground, and they they will tell us, they will ask us if it's okay for us to stay hands off of a computer. Well, they take remote control of it and try to figure out what the problems are and solve them for us. There are some times when we have to replace the hardware. We've got spares of hardware up here, and we've got the procedures on how to make sure we do that correctly.
Hi, my name is Carrie, and my question is, how are the tools you use to build and repair things in space differ than the ones used on Earth?
I think you'd be impressed with how similar the tools we use in space are to the ones we use on the Earth. We've got quite a nice toolkit. Some of the techniques are different, though. For example, one time to remove a stripped bolt, I had to drill into the bolt and extract the bolt. But to get that drill up here in space to work, you have to be very careful about all those metal shavings that come off in the normal process of drilling. So one of the techniques we have to use on the ground is to lubricate the bolt head or screw head with shaving cream, because that will make it safer for us and capture all those metal shavings that could be something we accidentally inhale or get in our eyes. So techniques definitely have to be different in space.
Hi, my name is Tyler, and my question is, what person in history of space exploration do you find inspirational?
I find John Glenn to be very inspirational. I think I just really respect how humble he stayed throughout his entire career, and also how much he went out of his way to be a servant to the public.
Hi, my name is Sophie, and my question is, can you see the effects of global warming, like noticeable ice caps melting or strange weather patterns? Do you see any noticeable differences in your data?
So we certainly have data to support that. There are changes happening to the climate, ice caps receding, less smaller glaciers. For me personally, looking out the window, because I'm not familiar enough with areas and haven't been watching them for a long enough period of time, I haven't been able to directly observe that, but I can tell you that just on the ground, going on a hike in the Alps 25 years ago and then repeating that hike 25 years later, I was quite shocked at how different the location of the limits of the glaciers were on that hike.
Hi, my name is Jackson Butler, and my question is, do the astronauts design the experiments they perform, or are they given them to run but for other scientists?
There's a very careful selection process for the science that astronauts do on the space station. We don't typically pick them ourselves. There are some people that kind of as a hobby on weekends will do their own little experiments, but the official experiments we do are determined by primary investigators on the ground. I perform activities much more like a laboratory technician. I just make sure that all the facilities are available for the experiments to run. When there's troubleshooting that needs to be done, we do that. We also help provide observations at times. But really, when it comes down to it, the paper writing and the really great science we get out of the space station comes from scientists on the ground.
Hi, my name is Sophia, and I was wondering, do you guys have to pass a physical before going to space, and what kind of physical do they perform when you return to Earth?
Certainly part of the selection process involves a very detailed physical. You probably, if you've ever seen The Right Stuff, you get a little idea of some of the things we might do. It's kind of humorous. But yeah, it's a very thorough medical check, much more thorough than a typical person of my age would have gotten. And then you've got to stay in good shape, because you can get taken off of a flight if it turns out you've got a medical issue. And when I get back, there will be lots of tests, because I basically am a test subject. I'm like a guinea pig. We learn a lot about how my body reacts to being in space for so long. But one of the things that's kind of interesting, when I first get back on the ground, people are interested in what you can do, because we're going to send you people, maybe people your age or even younger, to Mars someday, where there will be no medical attention when they arrive. We need to have a very good understanding of what people have had an extended time period in space can do when they're isolated by themselves on another planet like Mars. So I will do some field tests when I return to see how my body reacts. How can I stand up? Can I move quickly? Things like that.
Hi, my name is Joshua. My question is, do you think it will be possible to grow vegetables on a scale that would support humans in the space station, moons, or even planets?
I would never write off the human race and say it's not possible. I certainly think it's possible. It's going to take a lot more work to make sure we can get to that scale, but that's certainly my hope. I really think that humanity figures out ways to do things.
Hi, my name's Kevin. My question is, if you could have any new feature added to the space station, what would it be?
Kevin, if I could have a feature added to the space station, without a doubt, it would be more windows. You can see behind me there's a couple windows. They look to the port side of the space station. Looking down towards the Earth is wonderful. This module I'm in doesn't have any windows towards the Earth. The next two adjacent modules don't have any. However, we've got some wonderful windows. You just don't always get to see it unless you take the time to go ahead and look at it.
Hi, my name is Jaden. My question is, what field of study best prepared you for a career with NASA?
That's a tough. So for me personally, I studied physics. All of my academic background was in physics and applied physics. And I feel like that prepared me very well. It certainly helped me understand some of the amazing science associated with how spacecraft work. And even having a better understanding of what we're experiencing as we float around on the space station, constantly in a room that's falling towards the Earth but missing it because we're moving so quickly horizontally. It's just given me a good appreciation for things and helped me to quickly learn a wide variety of topics, which I think is really important for astronauts to be able to do.
Hi, I'm Nicholas, and I had a question about 3D printing and zero gravity. How does it affect the filament flow, and how does it stay on your printing surface?
So 3D printing works quite well up here. In fact, we've built parts for an antenna and some tools to help you get a sense of how liquids work in space. Although I can't say this is directly related to 3D printing, but it's kind of fun. I'm going to go ahead and try to make as large a water bubble as possible and try to control it. Because you'll see that the viscosity of the water really is a dominant feature of how fluids react in space. So stand by. Now back to our regular program.
Hi, my name is Jason, and my question is, how does space debris affect the operations of the space station?
It's certainly something we have to pay attention to. Fortunately, we have national assets that provide us information about what things potentially could get close enough to us to be of concern. And if it gets close enough, we have the ability to do an orbital adjustment to try to get to a place that will have less of a probability of impact. But the space station is also designed for this environment. It has been struck multiple times. Fortunately, nothing has punctured a hole that went all the way through. So it's a great spaceship.
Hi, my name is Sadie, and my question is, what is your favorite terrain from space to look at?
Surprisingly, because I don't enjoy being in deserts as much as other places, but there's something about seeing deserts from space that's gorgeous. Of course, part of that might be because there's so little humidity that we can see it very clearly, but the changes in all the various tones and the textures, and I especially love to look at deserts when it is at night under a full moon, because you can see all of the terrain, and also any place there's human activity with lighting, you can see that as well.
Hi, my name is Jason. My question is, how does NASA plan to work with private industries to get back to the moon?
Well, we think what NASA is doing is determining the architecture and all of the interoperability standards so that we can get different companies to compete to provide the various parts that all have to interconnect to work. And honestly, one of the big things we're trying to do is make sure that in low Earth orbit, where I am right now, that we can have successful business models so that the government will become one of many customers for the types of things we're doing now. And even having the space station or other space stations in the future serve as training grounds for people to prepare to go on very long duration flights. We need that to be successful so that we can invest more into traveling further and further away.
Hello, my name's Maddie, and my question is, how does space affect your height, aging, and muscles in space?
So aging, there's no relativistic effects that will make me come back younger, at least not significantly, like nanoseconds. As far as height's concerned, the curvature in our spine is affected by being in space, so our spines tend to straighten out a little bit, and we get a little taller. Now, I've always wanted to be a little taller, but unfortunately for me, when I return to Earth, that effect is not long-lasting. And there's a big effect on bone density. So our health can be affected by bone density and our musculature. If we just float around all the time, our bodies adapt so well to that our bone density will go down and our strength will drop significantly because we just don't need it as much. So what we do is we exercise we've got 2.5 hours every day set aside for us to exercise, and that's really important. We've got resistive exercise and cardiovascular exercise. So that helps us stay very strong. For me, I've noticed coming back to Earth that the muscles I used to balance were the things that I had the hardest time keeping strong. So I expect to feel a little grumpy and sore when I bend over and try to balance on one leg to tie a shoe, because those muscles will not be happy.
Hello, my name is Leighton, and my question is, how does an astronaut prepare for a long mission in space?
I think every astronaut probably prepares for that a little bit differently. I think one of the most important things to do is make sure your family's well taken care of, and so that you can go away. Even if you're in the military and deploying, it helps you focus much more on your job if you know the things you care about the most are well taken care of. For me personally, having this be a very long duration flight, I really tried to pay attention to my mental health. And one of the things I made a habit of doing is trying to meditate every day. I don't always manage to do that, but I would say about 90% of the time I've been able to set aside some time to meditate, and it really helps me put things in perspective.
Hi, my name is Haley, and my question is, what is the biggest challenge you have faced during one of your expeditions?
Haley, not this flight, but my previous flight, I had to do some EVAs, and on one of those, I had to turn off the spacesuit. It's kind of like if you have a computer problem, and you have to shut off the computer and reboot it to start it up again. That's basically what I was doing. All the life support systems on my spacesuit have a computer that runs them, and the computer screen wasn't making sense. So the ground told me basically to reboot the computer. I didn't realize in the process how much of an impact that would have on me. It shut down the fans, it shut down the cooling system. My visor started fogging up. I couldn't see the switches to turn the computer back on. I did manage to get that back on, but the life support system, the fan switch, I really had a hard time turning on, because I think the lack of visibility and the fact that I hadn't at that point in my career memorized which way to flip that switch, I might have been trying to flip the switch in the wrong direction. Fortunately, I had another teammate with me that flipped the switch, and everything was just fine, and we went ahead and did an almost 8-hour spacewalk after that.
Wow, that was incredible. I'm Dr. Mallory White, biology professor at Virginia Western, and I know I speak for all of us here in the Star City and at Virginia Western when I say thank you to NASA for the time and space to be curious today. Stay safe and be well.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event.
And thank you to all participants. Station, we're now resuming operational comm.